starting neat or sloppy? Neat.
Sloppy.
Okay, when we were in kindergarten, we learned how to write really neat. And then somehow along the way, we got sloppy.
Computers were invented and there's no need to write anymore.
I think even before computers, I think we got sloppy. Okay, so where am I going? I am going to the packet, and let me show you, oh, that was the table of contents again. If you need practice on how to write, which is called lettering. Lettering is neat letters. Here it is. See what I put in here? Okay, so if you want to practice, capital letters, small letters, I kind of put this in here as a joke, but you can practice.
Hey, I had to do that.
It's a joke for me.
You can practice if you want. But you gotta write neat. Is everybody getting that? Don't write sloppy. Okay, you're gonna get marked off. Okay, you gotta write neat. Okay. So across the top, you're gonna say table of contents, and I would do it exactly how they have it. Table of contents. So do that.
Is that an example of neat?
Yeah, that's neat. And you don't have to use all capital letters unless you want to. But you notice it is neat, right? We could read it. No script, no halfway between script and printing.
Old English text.
I don't even know what that looks like.
Okay, nice.
I like Karen's handwriting. She writes like an architect or a structural engineer. That would be fine too. Okay, then I want you to put, so are you gonna write all this stuff on here?
No.
No, because we're not doing those labs. It's just a setup, it's just an example. I don't wanna put up there exactly what we're doing every week, because then you're just copying it, right? So, you wanna now put the headings. The first column is lab number. Second column is date. The next 4 columns is title. The column over here is called page number, grade, and remarks. So you're putting the table of contents down and you're putting the first row down, which is the column headings. Don't write the lab numbers. Don't write the titles. Don't put the date. Don't put the page numbers. So just look up after you have table of contents written in all the headings. But we are doing pacing today. So you can do lab number 1, put today's date, write pacing, and do not write the page number yet. So lab number 1, today's date, and pacing. That's the title of the lab we're doing today. Okay, now what you want to do is you have your table of contents here. I want you to turn the page, and up here write number 1, page number 1. And then the next page is page number 2, 3, 4, and why don't you go all the way to page number 20. So the table of contents is not a page number, but if you did put 1 there, that's fine, then just go to 2. Next page 1 all the way to 20.
In the top left-hand side?
Top right is typical. Top right-hand corner.
What about the other side?
Say
What
it
about the other
again?
side? What about the other side? So,
on the other, on the,
right here.
right, below that side, no, it's same page or what?
What?
Left side.
On the left side.
So you're not numbering the left page, right?
I'm not numbering the left
Okay.
page, because to us, maybe because we read books, we think these are 2 pages, but in surveying, this whole sheet is 1 page.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, the 6-inch rulers are down in the bookstore. I got a call that they came in today.
I have this question about it. Do we need both if we have this?
Yeah, because that's not always so much fun to bring out in the field unless you're lugging your backpack out there. It's not, you're working with such a small area that a 6-inch ruler with divisions of 10 is good enough. And remember what I suggested, many surveyors put an index card in here and staple it so you have this pocket and you could just stick the thing in. Okay, what are some reasons why we don't want to go ahead and just put all the labs down that we're going to do? You don't know what pages they're on? We might change it, we might put something else in there instead, probably not. But it's quite possible that the topo lab, well, it's not there, but the topo lab we're gonna do is gonna be like 5 or 6 pages long. And another thing is you might go out and do taping and then realize, shoot, this thing is a disaster, and you're gonna put a line through it and say omit, and then you need the next page. So had you already said that page number 3 is something else, then you have to change all this. So the point is that when you're ready to do the lab, like today we're doing the pacing lab, so we're filling in the table of contents for the pacing lab. And tomorrow, when you're doing 2 labs, you're gonna fill the first one in. When you finish it, then you fill the next one in. So I would put the table of contents once you finish the lab. So, but you have to remember to continue to fill out the table of contents, right? When you get to lab number 5, field lab number 5, and you hand this in to me to grade, I need to make sure that the table of contents says all the way up to lab number 5. Okay? So let's take a look at, I'm going to go back in the packet to page, let's say 10. Okay. So I'm on page 9. So we're just looking at, a field book page, and the title, what's the title? Measuring distances with a steel tape. And do you remember when we measure with the steel tape, which kind of distance are we measuring always? Horizontal distance. We're always measuring horizontal distance. Okay? So let's take a look at what information's in here. The left side, again, I said, is always tabular data, right? So they have a bunch of columns labeled, and then we have points and the data that we're measuring and calculations. So remember, there are 2 different kinds of measurements, direct measurements and indirect measurements. Which do you think is going to be towards the left of the table?
Direct.
They're direct, the ones that you're actually measuring. And then what would you say about the ones on the right side? They're the indirect ones, the ones that we calculate. And then we usually are doing some other calculation to figure out what the error is. So typically we're looking at the measured quantities first, which are not typically, we are looking at the measured quantities first, which would be the direct measurements. Then we have calculated quantities, which is called indirect. Let's take a look now on the right side, the graphical. What are some things you see on there? I'm going to pull this over while you're looking.
Weather?
Straight lines.
Okay, weather. Yeah, straight lines, so that means they must have had a ruler, right? Out there, a straight edge.
Signature?
You see the signature. Where's the signature? Lower right-hand corner, right? Where's the weather?
Top right.
The top right-hand corner, right?
Location, date.
The location and the date. So let's write some of these things that we're seeing up here. So we already know that in a field book, the information that we're providing is legal, so therefore it needs to be neat. And we also know we're gonna be using black ink. And if something's wrong, we're gonna put one horizontal strike through. Hey, I have a question for you.
One horizontal.
What?
One horizontal.
One horizontal, that's right. So let's say I have a number, and I realize, shoot, this 6 should have been a 5. So an option is to go like this and put a 5 above it. Right, the other option is to cross the whole thing out and write 123.455. What do you think is a clearer way of doing it?
The top one.
The top one. The second and the top one, this one. This is what you want to do. You never just cross out one little number, because this whole thing is one measurement. You want to cross out the whole measurement and write the correct measurement down. So it's different than what we usually do, right? I think we kind of get sloppy as we go along. Okay, so you saw that the, let's do, this we know is all the tabular data, sorry. Okay, we saw the weather here, we saw the date, we saw the signature here, we saw the graphical work. Okay, what else do you see?
It's like the people that were there.
The people, the survey crew, the names of the survey crew. Notice it's pretty formal, it was done a while back, it's all last names, but we're gonna be on a first name basis. Okay, so you put your first name of each person, first name, first name, first name. You notice next to the people's names, there's a little there's a fee and an N and a C, and those represent what they're which equipment they're actually using. But what we're gonna be doing is, we're gonna make sure that each survey crew gets to do everything. So remember last week we talked about taping, Kelly and I were talking about taping. You know, one person holds a tape on one end, one person holds a tape on the other end. Those two people are holding the plumb bob. Somebody else might be holding the level, the eye level, right? What else? Somebody might be holding the tension clamp, right? I agree that if the 3 of you went out in the field and you were always on one end, you were always on the other end, and you always did the hand level and the writing, you'd get done quicker. But then you're gonna only be comfortable with what you've done for 3 hours straight, and you're only gonna get comfortable in the same thing. I want you to switch around. You have to all be comfortable. This is a really important skill that you're getting as future civil engineers and surveyors. You wanna feel comfortable leaving this course at the end and say, yes, I know how to use a level, I know how to hold a rod, I know how to do taping, I know how to use a total station. You need to be confident. So don't try to race through if